So the original Lion King, one of Disney's most successful films of all time, it has some animals, but how realistic are they? And I don't mean realistic like this. In 1991, in order to really understand what the environment and animals were like, animators who worked on The Lion King took a trip to Hell's Gate National Park in Kenya. And yes, that's the name. So a lot of scenery from here, as well as savannas in East Africa, were taken for inspiration. But the animals weren't just studied from a distance, they were also studied close up. In some cases, real lions were brought into the studio. I mean, I get doing this for like deers and rabbits, but this thing? This? But anyhow, let's take a closer look at the animals in The Lion King and see how accurate they are to real life. Let's start with the more general animals, the ones that aren't main characters, we just see them here and there. So at the beginning of the film, we see a ton of animals surrounded next to each other, and they're all bowing down to the lion, and I mean obviously that's not realistic, but what is the biodiversity. There will be moments like at water holes where you can see zebras, giraffes, antelopes, just all drinking together. And I think a lion being this close to this many animals would see this more as a feast than a congregation. This is more symbolic of the food chain. In the film, Disney portrays hyenas as not really being that smart. Like, Shenzi and Banzai aren't that dumb, but Ed is, you know, Ed. I think on the other hand, they're misunderstood. Like, Scar constantly belittles them, calls them idiots.
I'm surrounded by idiots.
Is he sick?
No, fool, we're gonna kill him.
But I think they're just afraid of him, and when you're like nervous and afraid, you might be more clumsy. But that's also accurate. Lions are above them in the food chain, so they would be afraid, but they very well could eat a lion. The truth is that hyenas are actually really smart, both socially and cognitively. Clans can be as large as 80, and dominance is established as early as a few minutes within being born. But ancestry can also play a part in it. Female coyotes will usually take the lead, which is why Shenzi has such a vocal voice.
We got a bone to pick with you. I'll handle this.
The wildebeests, although they don't talk, do play a pretty big role in the film. The way that they actually stampede is exactly what we see in the film. And of course, they hang out in large groups. They have the ability to run 50 miles an hour, and sometimes you'll see them running with zebras and gazelles, and they weigh between 300 to 600 pounds. So yeah, Mufasa's death in that aspect is pretty possible. If you startle a group of them, they will run together because now they're all scared. But I just don't understand why they're more animal-like. I mean, some of the animals don't really seem as personified as the main characters. It's almost like everyone is a normal animal, and these guys are not animals. I mean, these guys just run through Mufasa and Simba and don't even realize it, which again, in real life, true, but in this film where the animals are human-like, they're not going to stop and say, wait, that's Simba. Wait, there's Mufasa. No, they're just going to run him over. Anyhow, now let's move on to our main characters. So Pumbaa is a warthog. They're found in Saharan Africa. Pumbaa's name also means careless or foolish in Swahili. Timon is a meerkat, and the two of them do in fact eat bugs. Meerkats and warthogs aren't usually loners though. You wouldn't see Timon like all by himself, he would be with a pack of meerkats. And same thing for Pumbaa. So here's a good question. Would Timon and Pumbaa actually be friends in real life, or would Pumbaa eat Timon? Well, warthogs don't eat small animals. They just stick to bugs and grass, so that's good. But meerkats are territorial, so despite its size, a meerkat would be pretty aggressive and territorial if it saw a warthog trying to approach it. Also, Simba would definitely eat the two of them. Rafiki is a mandrill which can be found in West Central Africa. Unlike Rafiki though, mandrills usually live in huge hordes. They eat fruits, insects, and even bird eggs. Although his use of herbs is a bit human-like. Mandrills do a form of self-care though called zoopharmacognosy, which is basically where they self-medicate by consuming plants that sometimes contain antioxidants and antibacterials in them.
He's alive! He's alive!
Now let's get to the lions. Scar's name is self-explanatory, but his original name was going to be Taka, which means garbage. I'm glad they didn't go with that because it just doesn't sound as menacing. Also, realistically, he actually wouldn't be accepted to becoming the alpha because he's pretty weak and old. But I guess that happened because I don't see any other male lions here. Zazu is a red-billed hornbill. In real life, he actually does warn certain animals about danger, usually just by making a call.
What do we do? What do we do? I'll go back for help. That's what I'll do. I'll go back for help.
They're also very obnoxious. just like him.
I told the elephants to forget it, but they can't.
There is of course no such companionship or symbiotic relationship between red bills and lions. The urge to pounce Zazu is pretty accurate. Mufasa has some weird misinformation surrounding his name. Some believe that it means king or chief in a language called Manazoto, but there's one problem: that language isn't real. So that's just made up internet facts. If he thought things couldn't get worse for Mufasa, he actually wouldn't really be able to climb the mountain like this. Lions just don't have that sort of strength in them. They're just not built like that. So now let's go to Simba, which in Swahili means lion. It also has connotations to meaning strength, courage, and leadership, so I guess this name was meant to be for this character. But there are some things that are not true about him. The whole motive about Scar wanting to kill Simba and Mufasa is true. When a new male takes over a pride, he will kill the current king and existing cubs in order to assert dominance.
Hey, Uncle Scar. Will I like the surprise?
Simba, it's to die for.
Because those cubs are already wired that the previous king is the king. So the new babies that will be born will be like, ah, so you're the king now. Also, this makes Lion King a lot darker when you think about the fact that Scar killing a bunch of cubs in the film was really dark, but I guess that didn't happen if Nala's still alive. Now, at the same time, young male lions are also ostracized from their pride when they mature. Of course, Simba is still a cub, and he's very immature when he was forced out. But these are pretty unique circumstances. This wasn't from Mufasa, and it didn't seem like he was gonna do that anyhow. And bro got it so easy. I mean, imagine, like, young lions are out there just struggling, trying to find their way, and on day one, these two show up and give him a pretty chill life. And the diet that Simba gets with Timon and Pumbaa is pretty unrealistic. Lions need way more than just bugs to live off of. A bit later in the film, Simba reconnects with Nala, and this is unlikely. It's been years, and lions don't remember each other like that. After Scar is killed at the end of the film, Simba roars, and this is a sign of dominance. This is what lions actually do to mark their territory. And a lion's roar can be heard up to 5 miles away. But lions don't rule alone. They do it as a pride/pack. Okay, I knew that a lot of research went into making The Lion King, but I didn't know how extensive it was until now. They were able to blend the behavior of the animals well with the story. And yeah, it's not always perfect, but overall, this film is like a little bit educational. It's that sort of edutainment in the 90s that used to exist. But yeah, that's all for today, and that's it.